Hi, I'm Colin. This is Dead Dodge Garage. On this episode, we finish our last-minute road trip prep, including a meet-me porn, a tack, a different steering wheel, some gauge lights. Man, that works way too well. And some other stuff that I've already forgotten. But I'll go back and show you what I've done. Before we get into all that, a quick note from the editor. I already went on the road trip. We got back almost a month ago. But I had a lot of footage from before the trip, and I took something like 816 clips on the trip. Oh, spoilers. And it's taken me a bit of time to edit it all down into a few decent videos. This video is all about the 2 weeks leading up to the road trip. So let's go back in time now and watch how past Colin finished preparing the car for the 8,700 plus mile road trip it was about to embark on. This time, we've got less than 2 weeks until we leave on our insane 8,000 plus mile road trip to Plymouth and back. As you can see, we've got some new carpet to put in here. And we've remounted this seat on Mopar B-body bench seat brackets that I managed to fit on here. I just had to modify the seat and drill new holes for those to bolt to, and we were good. And then in the floor, same thing. The later brackets move the bolts in slightly, so I had to drill a couple new holes, no problem. They still go through the support, so it'll be nice and safe. Got a little bit of cheap insulation to roll down on the floor, and I'm letting the carpet relax on the roof, and we'll throw that in soon too. I just need to pull the shifter boot and knob. I've got a different knob to put in off this shifter. Oh, I've got kick panels that I think are even the right ones. We'll be somebody soon. Now with these brackets on, the seat's angled a little further back, which is both nice and kind of not nice. When I'm in position here, the front of the seat here is just kind of pushing up on my leg in a way that I don't think it's going to be comfortable for 8,000 miles. So my plan to deal with it is twofold. First, I'm going to space the back of the seat up and hope that helps a bit. And part two is I'm going to put a big fluffy cushion underneath my butt. Hopefully the two of those together raise the back up a little bit so I'm a little more comfortable. I got a little more leg room here. It's still not perfect, but it's not bad. As long as the angle gets better, I'll be pretty good. The shifter, which is from an A-body, is a little further away now. And that's a little annoying, but we're mostly going to be cruising in overdrive anyway, so I don't think that'll be that big a deal. I did get new door seals installed, so that should help seal the door. There was nothing down here on either side because it had just gone to crap. It's not exactly factory, it's all rubber instead of the windlace material here. But I was going to get black anyway, so honestly, I don't think anyone's going to notice, and I don't really care. Overall, making the car just a little more comfortable. It'll be a little quieter and better to exist in here on the road. So I'm going to try and find another one of these spacers or something really similar to it to space the back of the seat up. I also still need to find nuts. These are some leftovers from the Valiant, and I think there's a couple seat nuts in here. Okay, I found one nut, but I'm sure we have more of these somewhere. We hoard way too much stuff. Okay, it's hard to see much difference from here, but I found a stack of washers for this side so I could space up the back. I got nuts on the 3 out of 4 studs that are not broken, and I'm more comfortable than I was. It's not bad. I'm still going to put a cushion under the seat before I bolt it in for the final time once the carpet's in, but you know what? We're getting there. And I feel a whole lot better mounting the seat up properly than using the dinky Ford tracks and spacing them up with wood blocks, which is what I had before. I still don't love this seat because it doesn't split in the middle, and I think it'll end up being a hassle on the trip with 4 people and half them being in the back. But you know what? We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. I really need to zip tie that wiring up. Trimming carpet, making it fit. It's looking pretty good so far, I think. And I'll start, I gotta remove the boot. Some people. Well, anyway, now that he's gone, I gotta pull the throttle pedal, which I never did when I painted the floor, clearly. that one too. I need to re-black that pedal. All right, here's something else I like to do. There's a foil-backed fiberglass duct insulation that you can get at Home Depot for pretty cheap, about 12 bucks a roll. I'm just rolling some out from the front of the floor all the way to the back here, cutting it off, and I'm gonna try and sneak some under the tunnel as well, and then I'll lay the front of the carpet down. I did this in the Valiant with the carpet in that, and it was pretty quiet inside. Dynamat's nice, but it's expensive, and you gotta roll it onto the floor, and I'm not prepared to do that right now. I'm just gonna shove this in, shove the carpet on over it, call it a day. The only thing I'm regretting here is not just doing this first for some reason, and I'm getting little fiberglass fibers all over my brand new carpet. But hey, once the front seat's in, I won't really see the back. This is pretty crude, but got a leftover chunks cut to fit around the shifter hump. I've got one last section here that I'm gonna lay down under the back seat just to help a little there, and then we'll start fitting the front carpet. I'm just gonna lay it in there for now, lay the carpet on top and call it good, just so I can have it done and move on to the next project. Always feels weird to me cutting a big hole in a brand new piece of carpet, but that's 4-speed life for you. Stab the hole, cut the hole. Yeah, that was a good enough hole to start with. Oh shoot, I think I'm gonna have to cut a lot off the front. Doesn't want to go up there at all. It's getting closer. I've trimmed the front a couple times. I kind of notched it to go around the heater, which is actually working pretty well, but I'm gonna need to do just a little more out of there to get it to go a little further up and get the hump part to sit down. That's the part I'm still fighting. I got the corner over there kind of cut to go around the heater box, and I think it's gonna fit up in there nice. I need to trim this side still and just try and get it further up. It's pretty much there. I still had troubles getting it around the hump, but I got the boot on and it's fitting okay. I just had to wrestle with the throttle pedal for a while. With the insulation and the carpet and everything, it was really hard to get the stud started in the holes so I could get the nuts on, but I got it. I even got the kick panels in, although that one looks kind of like it's been cut a little extra. Not sure what's going on there. This one looks all right. There's trim that goes along here that I have in the trunk, but I forgot the screws elsewhere. I might have cut this a little wide, but the trim should cover that, so I'm gonna say it's fine. I need to poke some holes for the seats, throw in the seat belts that I'm about to take out of a Barracuda. Oh, I guess I'll throw in the bottom half of the back seat, why not? And then the carpet install will be done. Turns out those Barracuda seat belts are disgusting and wet, so I'll put mine back in for now. I've got those laid out over there. Hopefully they'll dry out and we can clean them up and it'll be less disgusting. But in the meantime, I'm throwing the front seat back in, and this thing will have carpet. Boom. Oh, wait. All right, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. We got on the shifter ball for my Duster. That was my first car. That was the car I drove on my last insane cross-country road trip. So we've got the shift ball from it for some good luck. Or maybe bad luck. We broke down a lot on that trip. All right. I mean, it's just idling right now, but there's like no exhaust noise in here at all. It's all behind me. Yep, like it's not even there. Did you guys know that rust never sleeps? Also, what's that hole? Interesting. Anyway, I'll tape this over and not on the carpet. I'm gonna tape those holes over and forget they exist. Well, that's pretty much restored. There's also the radio antenna wire hole, and I don't have an antenna, so I'm going to plug that, but I do have an actual rubber plug that will go into that. I elected not to show the horrible rust underneath the dash last time I was under the dash, because it looks really bad. But you know, now that it's taped over, it basically doesn't exist, right? It's okay over here. Maybe you get far enough that way to the driver's side corner and it doesn't, but this area is all bad. We're gonna have to address that someday. But for now, here's another thing that's bothered me for 9 years. This is just a mirror. There's no night mode. I mean, this kind of bothers me too, but we need a thing. It used to have a pencil. All right, I just put in a new speedometer gear, replaced the reverse light switch, so my reverse light switch isn't puking transmission fluid on the ground, and now I have a relay that goes click. Maybe we should make it do more than that, but we gotta wait for another package to show up in the mail, and it's unfortunately not gonna be here until Monday. So for now, I can click at people. That's cool. This is almost like a real car now. Almost. I need you to come hold the horn on a ground cable.
I've had a very productive day / week. What are you... Are you for serious right now?
Yeah. You gotta...
Yeah, okay, go. Why?
Needs... Dude, that's pretty good.
Okay.
I've got an ABS2 here, Jamie's current favorite carburetor, that I got from my boss. He had this on a Jeep Wagoneer and had some problems with it, and ended up putting fuel injection on the thing, and this has just been sitting around at the shop not doing anything. So I borrowed it, and if it works without the issues he was having, then I'll give him some money for it. But in the meantime, a somewhat free carburetor. He was having issues with it going pig rich, going up or down hills. Sounds like a float issue, but he fiddled with them and adjusted them and never got it resolved. So he gave up. Jamie thinks it could have been a fuel pressure issue. Not really sure. I'm hoping to just bolt it on and it'll be fine. Back together, fiddled with the air door adjustment. We're ready to put it on. See how easy we can make this look. Carb swap ain't very hard anyway. Just a few nuts, a little fuel mess. Ooh, we're dripping. I'm going to steal this plug out of the back so I don't have to find a vacuum nipple for the nipple sticking out of the back of the other one. Oop. Oh. Thread tape? Never heard of her. Boom. Well, that was almost too easy. I cranked it, got fuel in, hit the key, fired right up. Idle's even almost right. All right, it is way better. It just rips right off idle now. I need to adjust the secondary air door a little bit to get the light throttle to hard throttle transition smoothed out a little bit, but man, I like the ABS too. We'll see how it does in the long run. Tomorrow, we address some rear axle related things that we've ignored for a little too long. I was hoping to do a really decent test drive of this car before going on the trip, and the plan was to do the 101 loop up around the northwestern peninsula in Washington, and kind of ran out of time. Don't really have any more weekends to do it. We're leaving Friday, so instead we're going to test drive the car up to Olympia to go see a movie, and that will just have to be good enough.
I didn't get a picture for entering Minnesota because I was sorry at that point. But I'm going to try not to song. Is that where the
little
art
sliver?
project is? Well,
either my brand new relay is already stuck on forever because that's just what they do, or my ground wire is grounded somewhere else, but at least it goes meep meep. This worked fine the other day when Jamie and I were testing the big ridiculous 50s horn. Oh well. New mirrors, missing the piece that holds the ball tight, but I happen to have a junky A-body mirror, and I think that piece is going to work. I gave up on that and just put it on the original base for the car. Perfect. Hopefully this is our last big repair. I'm swapping out the diff fluid because this chunk was brand new. We've run it for several hundred miles, breaking it in, being gentle. Only a couple light burnouts here and there. We got to blow the whole rear axle apart, which gives us an opportunity to install new, slightly longer lug studs. Actually, they're quite a bit longer than the ones on this side, which are original. And we're going to install new axle shaft gaskets, which we did not do when we put the diff in the first time. So I think these ones go on the inside and these ones go on the outside. I might have a bent axle shaft. I was going to grab this one and see if I could compare. The one on the driver's side has a little bit of a wobble to it. Not the easiest thing to eyeball unless it's super obvious. Splines all look fine. Can't tell with the naked eye. And really, it's very slight. I don't even really feel it. I know it's not that wheel because it did it with the other ones when I first put them on the back with the shorter tires. I felt it a little bit, but I haven't really noticed with this one. Or if I have, I thought it was something else like the front end, which is why we have the 15-inch wheels back on the front. I think I'm going to swap out to the center lines because if I'm going to run 15s, I might as well run the lighter wheel. But I have like 3 days to get these tires swapped over either on a lunch break or I got to drop off the car, and I don't know that I want to do that. Oh, and I've got a new tail shaft seal because that was leaking a little bit of fluid, and hopefully that actually fixes it. Because as some people might have noticed on the last video, this drive shaft is a tad short. It doesn't go in quite as much as I would like it to. When I put the 4-speed in, I just looked around in our pile of drive shafts and found one that was close to the right fit. Honestly, it'd be nice if it were another inch longer, just to get it a little further in to the transmission. But you know what? I've not had a problem up to this point, so I'm going to keep ignoring it, and hopefully it's fine. It doesn't vibrate or do anything weird like that, so I'm waiting for the gear oil to finish draining. I'll take the chunk the rest of the way out, clean out the rest of the oil from the housing. And this time, I actually got the fluid suggested by the builder of the center chunk to put in there. And it's Lucas 85-140 conventional, heavy duty, high performance. You also don't have to add limited slip additive with this. It already has it in it. So you just dump this straight in. Technically, these take about 2.2 quarts, but I'm hoping 2 is going to be enough because these were the only 2 I could get on short notice. Those chunks are kind of heavy. I got it down okay on my own, but I was really struggling to get it back up. So I managed to get it onto the jack, and Hot Dog's hiding in the other room. He came out, pushed the jack in, and jacked it up for me. I got the chunk in and bolted up. Now I'm going to do that seal over there. Then we'll throw the rear end back together with its new seals, and we'll be out of here. Got the new transmission seal in. The one I used is a National 7300S. This is a booted seal that fits 727s and 833s, and I think it said even A230s if there are ones that use the bigger size yoke. The smaller yoke is a different seal. Don't know that number. Anyway, old one was a flat seal. And you can use a regular seal driver for a style like this, but on the booted one, you can't. So I found myself using one of these goofy axle nut sockets for 4-wheel drive trucks. So if you happen to have some of these in a variety of sizes, you can use those to drive in a booted seal. Second time this week I've used one of those. You just got to be careful because they're not exactly, round. So you want to make sure it's just the right size. And this one drove that booted seal in perfect. I'm running the OEM tapered bearings. So I need the beaded metal gasket to go between the caliper adapter bracket and the axle housing. And then the foam gasket is going to go between the adapter bracket and the axle shaft. This isn't even a whole gasket. So I need to scrape off what's left here. And then I can throw the metal gasket on and then slide the shaft in with the other one. I'm not sure I ever replaced my inner axle shaft seals. But they look okay. If I can get a little more right there, be happy with that. Alright, that's pretty much as good as she's getting. Okay, metal gasket. Careful reinstallation of our caliper adapter bracket. Very careful. We're going to have to adjust our bearing adjustment just a little bit because we're making our flanges thicker, which is going to move the axles out just a little bit. So we're going to have to tighten them back up, I think, to get our end play where we want it. Okay, on this side, we're going to install these 4 nuts and leave this one off so that we can set our end play once we get the other axle shaft in. I think this axle shaft seal might be leaking. I'll probably carry an 8,000 miles, but right now, it's really not much. It's just enough to get a little bit of wetness here. It's a little too late for me to get a seal. If I'd been thinking ahead, I would have just gotten 2 new ones, but I wasn't. So, that's future me's problem now. Current me is just going to put these on and say, it's just fine, you know? It'll do. Okay. On this side, we're going to reinstall all 5 of the axle shaft retaining nuts. Get them nice and tight. Then we'll go back to the other side, check the end play, throw the brakes and wheels on. Oh, fluid. We still need to do fluid. I would say that's torqued. Yeah, see how much? That's way too much because we added the extra thickness of the gaskets. So we're going to have to tighten that up quite a bit, although the whole axle is still loose on the other side too, so it probably won't actually be that severe. But let's swap back over. Okay, now let's see where our end play is. You know, it's pretty close. We just need to go a little. Look at that. We moved it just a little bit, and now we have a tiny bit of movement. I think that's good. I'm going to leave it. One other thing I forgot I'm going to do. Replace the lug studs. They're not all that much longer, but, you know, good ½ inch or so. It's pretty easy. You got a stud, slide the installer on, then you put a lug nut on, apply some torque. There you go. Got to kind of hold the back a little bit so it'll start sucking through. If you're smart, especially with a dinky nut like this, which is pretty pathetic, you would lube the threads, because I think that'll help, especially if you're using the same nut to install all of the studs. But am I going to? Well, oopsies. Probably not. But you should. Do as I say, not as I do. Come on. Uh-oh. Well, that nut's no more. Good thing I got new nuts. Let me grab one of those new nuts. Maybe some spray. I don't want to ruin the new nuts. But the old nuts, you know, whatever. Look how much beefier this is. Boom. Okay. We're gonna lock that down. We just need to knock this a smidgen up. This time, I'm going to do just a dab of red Loctite on the caliper bolts, which I did not do last time because I knew I was going to take it apart again. Get the bolt. There we go. Almost more important is the slider bolts. You definitely want to make sure those are tight. And so I will put a dab of Loctite on those as well. Yeah. There we go. Hair's getting stuck on rust again. Little dabble. Do ya? Oh. Well, that's creative. But you know what? If it works, then I'm happy with it. At least it's nice to know when my gas is getting hot or cold. Does he know there's a curb there? What the heck? Wow. Just how smoky it is. Yeah, it's more like it. Right where they belong. Now that's better. I don't know if that's a good look, but it's what we're going with. It's taco time, or tachometer time, and trunk lock? I installed my new trunk lock, which works really well. It came with a key to match glove box lock, which would be nice so that I can ditch a key instead of having 3 keys. But the problem is these little tabs that are supposed to fold over and hold the plate on the back of the latch don't. Oh well. I'll put this one back in. I'm going to install a tack. I'm going to install some gauge lights, finally. I might replace a couple bulbs in the actual gauges because some of them are a couple dim. I'm going to try and bend this rod back straight and see if I can reinstall the ashtray, which has been in the glove box for quite some time. I really like having this for change and fuel receipts that I'll never look at again. I'm thinking right about there. I've had like 3 or 4 tacks in this car that seemed to be in good shape. They worked really well when I put them in, and they all died. So hopefully it's just because they were older and not because this car eats tacks for breakfast. But hey, at least this one's new and has a warranty. I just fixed the gas gauge, so I probably shouldn't block that one with the tack. I don't really want to block any with the tack. I guess the charging gauge isn't too bad to block. I can just look around and find out when it's not charging. I think we're going right there. Although before I permanently mount it, I kind of have this other side mission where I might drop the steering column and rotate it a perfect 180 degrees around so that I can equip a different steering wheel, because apparently When I installed this one, you know, the one that's constantly grounding and going meep, I installed the shaft upside down. And on this steering wheel, it doesn't matter because this piece goes in either way. This is symmetrical. Right now, my master spline is on bottom instead of on top. So, do I really want to drop the steering column again? No. Might I, so that I can flop my wheel around? Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I'll be happy to leave this torrential downpour behind. Clear skies where we're heading, at least the first few days. So, I got the whole steering column flopped around. I was trying to pull the junction block off the steering box, which I was worried about not being able to get it lined straight up again. I ended up pulling the column out of the coupler, flipping it 180 degrees, putting it back in. Now I'm just getting my seal clip, retaining clip back on. I'll be able to put the steering column back up, and then we'll swap to the wheel that has a functional horn. You know, I really like this old Plymouth steering wheel, and hopefully I can get another one that doesn't constantly ground the horn out. That'd be nice. Let's start by hooking the horn relay back up. Boom. So now our master spline is up. You can see the extra wide spline there. We have a meep meep horn. What? Oh, okay. When this steering wheel was on my Dart, it did something really cool. Instead of honking the horn, it would crank the starter. I don't know what wire was crossed. Obviously, it was horn trigger with starter trigger, but you would hit the horn button and it would crank the engine. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, this pretty clearly works. It'll work a little better once it's nutted down. Whoopsies! But for now, I'm going to pull it back off, set it to the side, and get the tachometer set up with the steering wheel out of the way. I'll test fit the wheel, of course, to make sure I can actually see this, but it's going to be easier to clamp this down with the wheel out of the way. So I'm thinking right there. We could go there, which is a little more up in my face. Blocks the part of the speedometer I'll never use, and I can just kind of look over and make sure we're still charging. Still not my favorite, but I can see up to, you know, about 90. Well, and again, I can just peek over and I can see fine. Maybe that's the winner. You know what? I think that's just gonna have to do. Isn't really the steering wheel I wanted in this car, but the button actually works, so that's okay. Okay, I'm done. Jeez. Not everyone appreciates the finer things like I do. Oh, you know what would have been nice? New door switches. Oh, accident. I love having a horn. I shouldn't have one. It's too much power for me. Well, that took longer than I thought it would, but look. Even the gauges down there are lit up. And the tack works. I think I need to adjust the choke a little. We gotta get some dinner and then start packing for the trip that we leave for tomorrow. Well, it's as ready as it's getting. I did put the center lines back on the front of the car. Those super wide 275s on the front were awesome. They handled amazing. The only problem is the 275s were really grabbing the grooves in the road, basically. Any spot where tires have worn a pattern into the road, it was following those really badly. It was left, right, all over the road. So I took them back off and I put on these 235s that we had on the front of it before. And it was pretty much fixed. It goes pretty straight down the road. It's way less of a handful. And it's kind of a pleasure to drive, really. We drove this car to Olympian back the other day to go see a movie. And it's really quiet inside. You can actually hear yourself think. And you can even hear other people talk.
And you can hear...
Yeah.
You can hear that.
It's time for us to get packing so we can actually leave on the trip tomorrow. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in Aberdeen forever. What are you most excited for on this road trip?
Going to like 21 parks.
21 parks? All right. Will we make it all the way to Plymouth and back without breaking down? I doubt it. I'm not really worried about it either. The car is ready. We just have to get ourselves ready. Thanks for watching. And remember...
Why did the car cross the road?
Why?